Hello, and welcome back to the Sociolinguistics channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that permeates every corner of society and shapes the way we live, work, and understand the world: language and power. When we think about power, we might imagine political influence, economic wealth, or social status. But language plays a significant role in how power is created, maintained, and even challenged. Whether in politics, media, classrooms, or casual conversation, language isn't just a tool for communication, it's a means to wield power. Let's start by thinking about what power actually is. At its core, power is about the ability to influence others, shape perceptions, and control outcomes. It's dynamic, shifting depending on context, and it can be both obvious and subtle. Language plays a crucial role in this process. Language can persuade, manipulate, include, exclude, and even silence people. When we look closely, we see that language and power are intertwined, and that by examining language, we can reveal a lot about social structures and hierarchies. One of the most straightforward examples of how language and power intersect is in political discourse. Politicians and leaders use language to convey authority, inspire, and persuade people. Political speeches are often carefully crafted to resonate with specific groups, using terminology that appeals to emotions, beliefs, and values. Take, for example, the way words like freedom, justice, and security are frequently used by politicians. These words carry powerful connotations and can rally people around causes by evoking strong emotional responses. Political leaders carefully choose language to create a sense of solidarity among their supporters, while also distinguishing themselves from their opponents. But it's not just about what is said, it's also about who gets to speak. In any society, certain voices carry more authority, often because of social structures that privilege certain groups over others. This concept, known as linguistic capital, was introduced by the sociologist Pierre Bourdieu. Linguistic capital refers to the value placed on certain ways of speaking, often tied to social class, education, and ethnicity. People who use the right language or dialect, who know the right vocabulary and accent, are more likely to be taken seriously and respected. In contrast, those who don't fit these norms may be dismissed or marginalized, regardless of what they're actually saying. One area where this plays out is in the workplace. In many professional settings, there's an unspoken expectation that employees will use a standard form of the language, often the prestige dialect or accent. In English-speaking countries, for example, those who speak with a received pronunciation accent, often associated with the British upper classes, are sometimes seen as more educated or competent. This expectation creates a barrier for those who speak with different regional accents or dialects, reinforcing a social hierarchy based on linguistic traits. In multinational corporations, English is often the default language, and those who are non-native speakers may find themselves at a disadvantage, not because they lack knowledge or skill, but simply because they don't command the language in the same way as native speakers. These power dynamics extend beyond spoken language to written language as well. Think about academic writing. Academic language has its own set of rules and vocabulary, and mastering it is often seen as a mark of intelligence and expertise. However, this standard can be a barrier for people from diverse backgrounds, particularly if English isn't their first language. By maintaining strict standards around what counts as proper academic language, institutions can unintentionally exclude certain voices and perspectives. Some researchers argue that this can lead to a lack of diversity in scholarship, as only those who conform to these linguistic norms are taken seriously. Language doesn't just create power hierarchies, it can also challenge them. When people subvert language norms, they disrupt the status quo. This can be seen in various social movements where marginalized groups reclaim derogatory terms. For example, the LGBTQI+ community has reclaimed words like queer, which was often used as a slur, to affirm their identities and build a sense of community. By redefining language in this way, marginalized groups can challenge the negative connotations imposed by society and reframe their identity on their own terms. The act of reclaiming language isn't limited to social movements, though. Every day, people challenge linguistic power structures all the time. Code switching or alternating between different languages or dialects, depending on the context, is a powerful tool used by bilingual or multilingual people. It allows individuals to navigate different social spaces and manage how they are perceived in various contexts. While some may see code switching as inauthentic, it's actually a skillful adaptation to different power dynamics. In some cases, it's a way to assert agency and gain respect in spaces where one's native dialect or language might not be valued. Media is another powerful arena where language shapes power. News outlets, for instance, choose specific language to frame stories, which can influence public perception. In some cases, different outlets report the same story in ways that align with the audience's beliefs. A protest may be described as a riot by one source and as a peaceful demonstration by another, depending on the perspective they wish to promote. Even subtle differences in language can have a huge impact on how events are interpreted. By controlling language, media outlets don't just report on events, they play a role in shaping them. The internet has introduced new dynamics of language and power, as people now have unprecedented access to platforms where they can voice their opinions. However, even here, power imbalances are evident. Large social media companies like Facebook, X, and YouTube have rules and algorithms that determine what content is seen by more people and what gets buried. These algorithms are designed by people and often reflect their biases, consciously or not. Moreover, the platforms themselves have guidelines about what can and can't be said. When these platforms choose to remove certain content or accounts, they are exercising a form of linguistic control, which can be seen as an exercise of power. Let's not forget that language power dynamics also play out in educational settings. The language of instruction, the way the teacher speaks, and even the curriculum itself can all reflect power structures. In classrooms, students who are fluent in the language of instruction tend to do better, while those who aren't may struggle, regardless of their actual abilities. This situation is particularly challenging for immigrant or minority students, who might feel alienated in environments that don't reflect their linguistic or cultural backgrounds. Educators have the power to make students feel included or excluded through language, which has significant implications for learning and socialization. So what can we do about these power imbalances? First, recognizing them is crucial. By being aware of how language creates and reinforces power dynamics, we can make more conscious choices in our own language use. Educators can create more inclusive environments by valuing linguistic diversity and recognizing the strengths that different languages and dialects bring to the classroom. Media consumers can question the language used in news reporting and consider the perspectives that might be marginalized or left out. Ultimately, understanding language and power is about understanding society. Language reflects our values, beliefs, and biases, and it's one of the most powerful tools we have for shaping the world. But it's also a tool that can be used to oppress, exclude, and silence people. By looking at language critically, we can start to challenge those power structures and work toward a more equitable world where diverse voices are heard and valued. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video enlightening, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share it with others. And let's continue the conversation in the comments. How have you seen language and power intersect in your own lives?